Welcome back, everyone, to our weekly live stream show. This is the HDI Local Chapters live stream show, proudly brought to you by Robert Half. And normally I talk a little bit about Robert Half, but instead of doing that today, I'm just going to go straight to our guest because it is our and Robert Half's very own Zach Jiru, who's going to be on here once again for our quarterly conversation on what's going on hot in the career industry, when we say so. Welcome, Zach.
Hey, glad to be back, and hopefully when this goes into post production, you can cue up like the cheering and the clapping when they announce me.
All right, Rae-Ann, you hear that? We got to do some clearing and some chat, and cheering and clapping. I can't even talk right. So, Zach, I mentioned my voice, my mind's obviously going too, not just my voice. So, all right. So, Zach is from Robert Half, and we want to get right into the show because, as we mentioned in the pre-show, there's just too much to even cover in 15 minutes. But so today we're going to be talking about getting the numbers that are worth knowing, right, Zach? So why don't you go ahead and get started, and then let me know when you're ready to share your information.
Yeah, so wanted to bring the 2023 salary guide to everybody today. We're going to do a high level overview. There is, be forewarned. If you haven't seen the salary guide before, it can be a little intimidating because there is a ton of information. But I will do a high level overview. But anybody that wants additional information, anybody that would like me to go into a little bit more detail, maybe with them one-on-one, happy to do that. Tom, feel free to share my email
It
address. Send
it's
it
on the
out.
screen right now. Yep, it's on the
Perfect.
screen.
Down there.
Yeah, right down there, exactly.
uh, so I'll shoot me an email. I can provide anybody that wants it. I can provide access to it, and like I said, I can go through it. But again, wanted to dive right in, go over a few of these details with everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for you.
Before you do that,
Tom,
Zach,
just
I
so
just want to say, I got to say, Robert Half is definitely eats their own dog food on the technology piece, right? I remember many, many moon ago when this salary guide first came out,
for
it
the
was like
paper.
a paper version of it, right? And once you see what Zach has to share with you, you're going to see there's no way, unless you live in the world of Harry Potter, there is no way that's possible. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, so I mean, actually, I do like that. That's a good point. And there's a lot of additional details that we're able to share on the salary guide. It is all virtual right now. Um, so this is it. And again, um, like like Tom was saying, it's broken up into sections for us. But welcome to the salary guide. We want to hit you with as much information as possible here. So we start out with national trends. And I think this is important to point out that Robert Half, being as large as we are and having as many offices as we do, we're able to collect tremendous amounts of data. And even though I'm in California, um, the numbers aren't going to be skewed too bad just for the coasts, right? Like we still love that uh, Midwest Mountain Time. We share the love across the country. So this data is compiled across all of our offices. Uh, we'll point out some of these national trends, like I said. And as we kick it off, I think it's really important to talk about. Obviously, pay is top of mind for everybody, and what is that doing? And one of the concepts we've had a ton of discussions about recently is the idea around pay compression and what that has done to current employees. So, Tom, you're a manager. This may be something that has affected you and your team, but the idea behind it is salaries have gone up so much so fast that when teams are onboarding new candidates or new employees, the salaries are outpacing current employees. And instead of causing a bunch of resentment or, hey, look at this new guy, he just started here, I've been here 10 years, he's making more money than me. That pay compression has forced current employees to look at their employees and offer raises, incentives, increases. They've had to change pay scales. And oftentimes it's difficult discussions to be had, but they're realistic ones. And we've had to bring that to the attention of a lot of employers recently. Um, Again, not sure if it was anything that you've come across yet,
Yo,
Tom. Hopefully
absolutely.
you
And
haven't.
Zach, I'm looking down towards the bottom of the screen here, and it's funny how, we're talking about national trends, and yet it still says the number one job for employers is hiring, right? I mean, it's true. It hasn't gone down any, at least that I've seen.
So finding candidates, screening candidates, resumes, interviewing, herding cats of a team to put together a panel interview has really been, job number two or number one, depending on, how important it is for a lot of these managers and directors to help fill out their team.
Yeah, and,
Um,
and here's the interesting thing. Since I'm in IT, part of my job is onboarding or like the new hire process, not only for my team but just the new hire process of credentials and access and things. And it's
yep,
still a steady stream of companies I see hiring. I'm always every week we've got a list of people coming in.
yep, absolutely. And it hasn't been slowing down, especially in the tech field. Um, and again, just keeping on trend with salaries. Um, the number one thing that companies are doing to attract applicants and trying to pull candidates, to work for them is actually increasing starting salaries, which then in turn causes that pay compression. It's a circle, right?
Yeah. Hey,
Um, yep.
before we go to another section, can you go back to the main screen? I think I didn't have the screen um, right on there for like at the top so that people can see the links, the different links on
Yeah.
your
There you
web.
go.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't have, so just, wanted to mention that, it went from this paper magazine, if you will, glossy to like tabs. And these tabs there's pages within pages within pages of data, I think, right?
Yeah, there's a lot, and it's a good read, and
Yeah.
it's ammunition too. If you're if you're looking for some additional perks, benefits, pay,
Yeah.
or you're trying to bring more people onto your team as a manager, this is great information to use.
Yeah,
Um,
so one of the things that I see, I'm sorry, maybe I missed some of this stuff. Yeah. Oh, we talked a little bit about retention, right? How important that is. So you have a lot of good statistics here about what's happening in the world today of hiring and job searching.
Yeah, and just what companies are doing, and it's staying on trend with compensation. How are companies keeping employees? They're raising their pay. Again, you'll see the trend right throughout this is a lot of it is around salary and increasing current compensation for their employees, trying to keep their employees from looking elsewhere, right? The next shiny thing and chasing that because a lot of companies are trying to lure candidates away because in tech, especially in technology, there's a candidate shortage. And what's the most attractive thing is the large increase in salary. So we've seen that as the number one retention tool. And actually there's some additional things we can point out here in the perks and benefits side. But if you're looking for retention strategies, we were talking about information within information, so within the salary guide, you'll see these red hyperlinks. So effective retention strategies, you can take this link to additional Robert Half blog post research, our data, some of the research that we've done and collected, you're then able to use that and implement it.
A lot of helpful
Um,
stuff there too. So I do encourage people to go there. I know I do read those a lot. I know as far as our HDI members, we do send them out some of this information because it's really, really good and helpful.
yeah, we've used some of it. I mean, I know but we've used some of the additional supporting data as within our topics
Yep.
just to
Yep.
share.
Yep.
So national trends are great, but we're all technology folks, right? So what does this mean for the world of technology?
So I was going to ask you,
Well,
let's talk about that, right?
so when we're looking at technology, here's something I found that was kind of funny. So a little more than 6 out of 10 managers plan to expand their teams, right? that's great news. Hiring, people are getting, teams are getting bigger. Great. Let's bring some more on board. But nearly 9 out of 10 of them are having a hard time finding the right people. So hiring becomes more of a wish list than something easy to do. Uh, you know, it, Gone are the days where managers are bombarded with candidates, and you're going through resumes because you have so many great candidates, and you're trying to trim it down to bring in the best ones. Now you're just bringing in who can apply because you only have two people. So it's definitely slim pickings, and we have seen that. Even at Robert Half, you would think that this would be easy for us and great news, but it's just as hard for us to find folks as well. The good thing is that we have a great network of candidates that are super loyal to Robert Half and work with us exclusively. So we've lucked out in that regard. Um, as we continue to look at retention tools and how current IT teams are keeping people, the idea of expanding the skills of current employees has grown as well. So cross training, doing some professional development, adding certifications, something that may not add to an individual's salary, but could be paid for by an employer, is a good retention tool as well. So we've seen those. And then moving up lower
just
level
a shameless
employees.
plug for that. Managers, leaders, CIOs, if you're out there listening, sending your people to conferences is a great perk. Not only do we learn things, but you get to network with peers and things and people like Zach. So remember that there's one coming up in November.
And believe it or not, sometimes it's easier to train your current employees than to go out and try to find the new employee that has those skills.
Yes.
Give somebody that's already dedicated to the company a chance to learn and move up. And again, let them be, get those certifications, get that additional training, and, replace a lower level person.
Yep. That's true.
Could be easier, but that hits on the retention aspect of as well, moving people into middle management, lead type positions, a little bit more oversight is a great retention tool that we have seen as well. Technology still is extremely difficult to find. Unemployment rates really low, frustratingly low. The meat of our salary guide is really right here. So when we're taking a look at targeting salaries, we can pick on you if you want. Philly, right?
No. What?
Yeah, let's do it.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but to be fair, I don't know if Pittsburgh's in there.
It's in there. At least it used to be in there.
Okay. All right. So we'll take a look at this again.
Yeah, here we go.
I really like the salary guide.
Yep.
Click of a button allows you to see where salaries are at. It changes geographically. We have it broken down into different percentiles. So you can kind of determine where you fall within the range given your experience, certifications, training, education. Take that into account, but move it up accordingly. It starts with national trend or national averages, and then as you adjust, as you switch out the cities here, you can see how the pricing will change. So Sacramento, 11% over the national average. You can see that it adjusts accordingly. So instead of flipping back and forth in the book and then doing some hand math.
Yes, exactly. I remembered that. I remember those days, Zach.
Our technology here. And then I didn't see what was Pittsburgh.
Oh, you'll love this one. Go for it. It's lower.
4% lower.
Yes, big time.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay. But this is a great tool if you're looking for remote work, hey, our companies paying a little bit more because of, based on what location they are, instead of, in Pittsburgh, if they're paying 4% below, maybe apply for a job over here in Sacramento. We could always use as many as we can. You might be able to get paid a little bit more. So this is a huge portion of the salary guide. It's a great tool. If this was the only thing you used the salary guide for, I think it's still worth it.
Oh yes, big time. And I do use
Fantastic.
this a lot when I'm looking to make sure I'm paying fairly. By the way,
I
very
love to
much
hear that
so.
from managers, by the way.
What,
Uh,
what'd you
we
say? I
bring,
missed that.
I said, I love to hear that from hiring
Oh
managers.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Too often we have to have, you know, discussions around what's fair and what's expected recently.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Well, and I
uh,
get that because, like we just talked, the companies that are starting to pay more are setting the bar for others. But you know what? You the other thing you have in this guide, if we can jump to, because I believe it or not, we're already it's 16, 17 minutes, Zach. So, but I wanted to talk about like some of the other things that you mentioned, like the perks and the benefits, right?
yeah,
There's like the whole section on perks and benefits that you
yeah,
talk about that are what companies need to think about. And this particular graphic I thought was interesting because, you know, employers, which is the right hand or the lighter blue,
yeah,
the right hand bar on this, I find the one thing that cracked me up was employee discounts. Man, we're rocking on that. Yeah, well, that's easy. I
yeah,
mean,
and
I like
nobody's
the leave
requesting
though.
it.
The parental leave is cool. That is cool.
Yeah,
But I like the other
absolutely.
things that they're talking about, right? Stipends for home office. Because I was just thinking about that when you mentioned, well, Pittsburgh, we can pay your Sacramento people 4% lower than national because we're in Pittsburgh. But if you're over there and I'm not paying for your electric and your water and all that business,
Very true. Very
internet,
true.
right?
So two key statistics I just want to point out. I know we're wrapping up. We have seen more of a flip flop. Remote option now is falling second. Why is that? Not because people aren't requesting it, but because it is now expected, not requested. So
Yeah.
now the most popular request coming in terms of perks and benefits is flexible work or the idea of windowed work.
I was
I
gonna say, I
will
think I think it's on this page. Maybe it was the other page. It said when is just as important as where, right?
exactly. So more and more employees are expecting to work remotely, but they also want the flexibility to work on their schedule. So they'll put in the 8 hours, but they don't want it to be a very structured 8 to 5, right? So I get it. There's a lot of asks, but this is why you see that flip flop from remote work being, number one. Now it's number two, not because people don't want it. It's because it's now expected to be number one.
Yeah.
So we want to see that. The second thing, which also hits on retention, is the idea of people going back to the office.
Yep.
So this was a scary statistic here. Their employees would rather quit than return to the office full time. So keep that in mind as you are implementing a return to the office policy. If you could see 40% of your current workforce walk out the door, or at least looking for another job, are you able to take on that turnover?
Yeah.
So having a plan in place, having the flexibility, having the remote option, not only is a very strong retention tool, but it's also attractive to new candidates. So
And if you think that number's not real, I will tell you. I mean, you do, Zach, because your company's, that's where you're interview, talking to people. But my wife just put in her notice for that very reason.
yeah, I mean,
She does data entry, and they're making her go back to the office. And when she said, "Well, we're more productive at home," they said, "Zach, I know. I'm glad you're sitting down and your drink's not in your hand anymore." They said it's not about productivity.
oh well, that's great. They care.
So yeah, this is great stuff. What else? Anything else before we?
Well, company culture is still a hot topic, and it is still high on candidates lists, especially when it is work remotely slash hybrid. They want to feel like they're welcome at a company. The company is doing well by doing good to their employees. So DEI still remains
Yes.
diversity, equity, and inclusion. Sorry.
Right.
This was included in our previous salary guide, but has remained such a hot topic for good reason, too.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, because
and
Zach, the main reason is you only want to work with one of me. You need more
yeah,
diverse pool than that. Oh, seriousness, no, this is definitely a big deal, right?
it is definitely a big deal. It gets asked about more and more by candidates we are talking to, we are screening. They ask about company culture and what it's like to actually work there. So having an inclusive environment. And I will tell you this, the salary guide does a great job, not just providing information, but offering solutions and conversation pieces. So if DEI is not something on someone's current radar, we do have some information based on, hey,
Nice.
what is Robert Half doing? Which is a great conversation to have with anybody that works here. We do tremendous work around this, fantastic groups and discussions and virtual sessions and meetings with speakers, and it is a very inclusive environment here. So plug for Robert Half if you're listening, big brother. But again, just in all honesty,
Yep.
candidates are asking about this more and
Yes.
more. So from a hiring manager standpoint, um, to have your department be more attractive, to have your company be more attractive for outside candidates to be applying, this is definitely something that could be brought up. Take some steps, think about it, look internally. What are we doing? And we have some great information on first steps and how to get that going. So
Awesome. Well, Zach, that's a lot
super
of
high level,
information.
Tom.
Yeah.
Super high level. We scraped the surface of
Yeah.
this salary guide, but I would say, in all honesty, anybody that wants additional information, please reach out, shoot me an email, provide you access, give you an online copy. We can go through it. I could talk on this for 20 more minutes if we could. Oh, sorry.
Nope.
I just want to make sure people saw it.
No, yeah, yeah.
Auger.
No, so Zach, it was no, it's funny because I cut the sound. You only heard me say that, Zach. So
Oh,
I love learning how to use my technology, right? On my setup here on my soundboard. So but anyway, Zach, thank you so much. Again, thank you for watching our HDI Local Chapters live stream show. Our web address at the top if you're interested in becoming a member. Zach, I've got your information down below you for them to get a hold of you. So you can go like this, like one up, one down. Yeah, there we go. So, feel free to reach out to Zach and all the wonderful people at Robert Half. They've got offices all over the country. I know they've been a big partner of HDI Local
and
Chapters.
share it. Share my info. Feel free. Blast my information out to your friends, colleagues, somebody
Yeah.
that works somewhere that doesn't even know about Robert Half or HDI. I'm willing to help whoever, or if anybody has questions, happy to do it.
I think Susan says you get a bonus depending on how many emails you get out of this show. So let's help Zach get a raise,
Oh,
right? See, I just want to see if she's watching. So if she'll bust my chops next time I meet with her.
that's fair.
All right, sir. Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate being on the show. And there'll be a next time, probably after the
Uh,
new year, right?
I look forward to it. Let's kick off the new year with the show.
Yep.
I'm
We'll
all
definitely
for it.
get that going because I know there's going to be plenty to talk about. Absolutely. All right, thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you
appreciate
next
it.
week. Maddie B, I think Maddie B will be back hosting next week. So we'll see you all maybe in 2 weeks for me, but be here next week because Maddie will be here.